Just waiting for the live stream to set up, everybody. Here we are, Friday night, as usual. Let me get my Zoom recording here. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the GoldFish Report. I'm your host, Louisa. Today is Friday, April 24th, 2020. This is GoldFish Report number 485. It is week 169 POTUS report. President Trump's plan is reopening America. That's what's happening right now, folks. So there's a lot to report about. I want to welcome everyone who's live with me. So I'm just going to stop for just a moment and say welcome to everybody. I know it's 8 o'clock Friday night's our date night, so here we are. There's a lot going on, not just with the president, but some big news today about General Flynn, which I'm going to be talking about. I just hope that this live stream is working. Hi, Sherry. How are you? Good to see you. Hi, Sherry, dear. Yeah, I was going to wait like a couple minutes for people to kind of stream in, but it's going to take a few minutes. I'm going to screen share to get started. I'm going to screen share an interesting photo that I think everybody's going to like very much. I don't have the right picture up. Let me get, oh, here it is. I think everybody's going to like this photo here. Okay. This is, now last week I did screen share a photo of the White House with the truckers that had joined the president and the transportation secretary to deliver remarks during an event to celebrate America's truckers Thursday, April 16th on the south lawn of the White House. You can see the trucks there and the president in the middle. And if you look up close at the top, somebody switched out the POW flag for a Q flag on the top of the White House. I kid you not, folks. This is from the White House, press secretary's office. This is official, folks. This is real, okay? So I just thought everybody, now let's see if I can enlarge this. No, I can't enlarge it. I'm going to take it off the screen share and then I can enlarge it, which is what I'm going to do. Yeah, there we go. Let me just say hello. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Sherry, I haven't heard about that yet, but maybe you can tell me why they would want to sue her. Okay. What reason would they sue her for? Okay, so anyway, let's go to the screen share real quick because I want you to enjoy this photo as much as I am. As you know, let's take a look at this. This is on top of the White House. Again, look, this is from the White House. This is on the blog, my blog, the goldfishreport.blogspot.com. And folks, you can clearly see that that is a Q on that flag under the American flag atop of the White House. That is a Q flag, folks. Says Q to me. But you know what? There was a POW flag there, so there was another black flag with white writing, and someone swapped it out. So this is interesting. I just wanted everybody to notice that because that is definitely a favorite for everybody. I've zoomed in, pretty close actually. So I think it's pretty clear what that is. I'll see if I can zoom in even just a little bit more. Yeah, it's pretty clearly a cue to me. All right. Oh, you know what it is? It might be the face of, and it might have been done deliberately. I don't know. Let's take a look. Let's take a closer look, whether it was swiped, changed out, or whatever. Even as a POW at that moment, it looked like a Q. I see. It's possible that, yeah, it is a POW flag, but it definitely looks like a Q flag. Okay, so we've got it. We've got it now. So I don't want to be, how interesting it looks like a Q. Okay, interesting. So that's what I wanted to share with everybody tonight. But it is good that we take a chance to really look at it a little bit closer. So No idea about the story. Just caught briefly. It was surprised. Yeah, we'll just hear. Yeah, it was tweeted out. Yes, it wasn't that it was manipulated. It was just that it was flapping in the wind, and at that particular moment in time, it looked like a cue. That's all. I don't think it was manipulated. I think it was just the way the flag. It really was a coincidence. That one was a coincidence, I would say. Okay, so let's move along. Folks, as you know, I usually report on just the president in the POTUS reports, but this week I'm going to be reporting a little bit about what happened with General Flynn today. Today, there was a stunning Brady docs disclosed by the government exonerates Michael Flynn. The reason why this has to be talked about, and I'll tell you in a minute, these docs were withheld for years, withheld from General Flynn's defense. They were from, and it shows that General Flynn did not commit any crimes. This was exculpatory information that was deliberately suppressed by the government, by the FBI, by the DOJ. They conspired to destroy General Flynn, according to Sidney Powell's his legal team. Crimes were committed by the FBI, aside from misconduct and DOJ malfeasance. This is now the reason why we need to talk about this right now is because here you have a retired, right, 3-star general, outstanding service to our country, American patriot. And what did he have to do? He had to sell his house to, it's reported. It's reported that he had to sell his house in order to afford legal fees, to hire an attorney. And boy, don't I know that. Don't I know that. And folks, the reason this is important is because this is such an abuse of power that this is going to be hard, really hard for people to believe that our government would do something like this. That not only does our government do this to people like General Flynn and like other people who are more powerful, more influential, are more well connected, who are good people, who are patriots, who didn't do anything wrong. And General Flynn was able to sell a property. He was also able to raise funds. I know there was many fundraisers out there for General Flynn. But you know what? This happens to Americans every day. And we don't have the power and clout and prestige. And what I'm trying to say here, and what I'm really getting at, is, folks, we lost our country. And I will absolutely sit and debate anyone who disagrees with that. We lost our country already. We lost it after the assassination of JFK. Because that's right, we were not invaded, Slim Frank. We were infiltrated. Every aspect of our society has been infiltrated. The colleges are gatekeepers so that the globalists control the agenda, keep us ignorant, right? And keep the narrative that they want pushed going. They obviously control the corporations through the senior executive services, the revolving door from, government regulation and government offices to CEOs of pharmaceutical companies and other corporations, including food, the food we eat, Monsanto, everything, CDC, you name it. They've infiltrated our religion, our religious institutions, the schools, our education, the government, everywhere, folks. And now look at us, right? Now people are expected to report a neighbor if they're doing something without a mask. I don't know. What is the problem? If you have somebody come over your house? Folks, we have to be really careful. We have lost this country, and the question is, what are we going to do about it? And so we all have an obligation We all have the responsibility and the duty as Americans to hold our government accountable. It's every one of our responsibility. And if you haven't found what you can do yet, you know, you can write a letter. You can write a letter to the president. You can, uh, form a group and talk about what options that you have. I'm not saying I have the answers. I'm just telling you I'm doing my part. I'm trying to wake people up. I'm trying to inform people of the truth, trying to read between the lines of the fake news media. And what's unbelievable about this General Flynn case, and he's not the only one, but we're just using General Flynn because right now he's really an exemplary person, an exemplary American patriot. And if the power of the government can be abused to such an extreme degree to somebody like General Flynn, could you imagine what they're doing to us? Can you imagine what they're doing to us? We don't have the voice that General Flynn has. We don't have the connections and resources General Flynn has, but still, they are trying to destroy a good man. And what does that entail? That entails this man has to come up with hundreds of thousands of dollars to defend himself against false allegations from the government, against a setup. This was a setup. How do you keep fighting the government, especially if you don't have judges that are adhering to the Constitution? If you don't have judges, look, folks, we lost our country already. I'm sorry. I absolutely will debate you on this. You show me where we have constitutional rights. You show me where we're protected by the Constitution. I want you to walk into a courtroom and tell me that you have constitutional protections, because I can guarantee you, your judge is going to tell you you don't. Oh, yeah, they throw a few cases so it appeases the masses and, it's plausible deniability, right? Oh, there's nothing going on here. Look, this person won their case, right? This person won. There must be justice. Folks, it's all fake. Don't you get it? It's all fake. There's no justice. If you can't afford justice in this country. That's the truth of it. Nobody can afford it without going completely bankrupt. There's no such thing as justice. How just is it that you have to sell the home you spent your life making, earning money to make and pay for? How just is that? That this man's, it's irrevocable. The harm is irrevocable. I just wanted to get this out up front because I really want people to stop pretending that we have constitutional freedom protections in this country. I want you to wake up, stop living in Disneyland, and stop living in Fantasyland. We lost this country. And everybody turned their cheek and looked the other way when somebody else had an injustice happen to them. Oh, those poor people, well, they probably deserved it somehow, right? How many times did we turn our cheek and look the other way when somebody was downtrodden, when somebody was being abused by the powers that be? And let me tell you something, folks, it's coming to our front doors now, isn't it? Right? They're going to come in. You have the WHO saying that they want to come into our homes and select members of our family that may have this COVID-19 and put them in protective custody. Yeah. You tell me about your constitutional protections, folks. You tell me about it, right? You think you're protected. Yeah, exactly. We're not in Kansas anymore. Exactly. Look what they're doing to Austin. What's happening to General Flynn happens to Americans every single day. And you have no way to fight it. It's not about justice. They're just giving you the illusion. This is the Matrix, folks. They're just giving you the illusion that you have constitutional freedoms and protections. just to shut you up, shut us all up. Oh, we're home of the free. Home of the free? We are the home of the, we are the most enslaved people on this planet, folks. Wake up. It's not going to be, not everybody's going to want to hear this. Not everybody's going to want to admit this. Not everybody's going to want to, accept this. But I'm telling you, the more you turn your cheek and look the other way, the quicker it's going to happen to everybody. When the WHO comes into your home and takes your family members out because they say that you have COVID-19. Folks, how far is this going to go? We can't go to the beach? The president says in the news conference, and thank God he does. He says the sunlight destroys COVID-19. So why can't we go to the beach? Why can't we take a walk on the beach? Why can't we walk in the park? If you're going to touch something, just bring a little bottle of, sanitizer with you, or whatever he's recommending, whatever the doctor, whatever. We can see that the CDC is just not looking out for our best interest or looking out for the best interest of big pharma. That's it. That you can see that Dr. Fauci is not an honorable man. Dr. Fauci is working with Bill Gates, it appears, on depopulation. And Mrs. Birx as well. And people ask, well, why does the president have these people in his cabinet? Well, I'm going to give you 2 reasons. It's a swamp, right, folks? Isn't it a swamp in D.C.? And who are you going to find in D.C. that's not part of the swamp? Who are you going to find? Who knows how the system works? Who does he really have to choose from? But I'm going to tell you the real reason the president does this, because he is the Sun Tzu master, because he keeps his friends close and he keeps his enemies closer. And he's keeping an eye on them. And they're exposing themselves because people are waking up. People see through it. I'm telling you, folks, we've lost our country. Every aspect of our society, American society, has been infiltrated. We have been, including the media, of course, the biggest, because they knew they couldn't accomplish this agenda without the media and controlling the narrative of the information. Does any of this concern any of you? I just wonder. Put your comments in the comment section. Put your comments in the live chat. Are you at all concerned that we have lost this? And President Trump, as he has said, it's not them, it's not him that they want. It's us, and he's in the way. I have said this before. I have quoted Benjamin Fulford, who said, there is an anti-life force on this planet. And he's not kidding. And you should really listen to those words and accept that there is. Because there's a depopulation agenda going on. It's not a secret. It's on the Georgia Guidestones. It's out in the public, right? You hear Bill Gates saying the world's overpopulated. How did you have Anthony Fauci saying that there's going to be a surprise? There's going to be a surprise pandemic in the Trump presidency. Whoa, where'd he get his crystal ball from? Is it a crystal ball, or was he part of the plan? So I think we all need to just ask yourself, what can you do? Because we're at that point now, folks. Don't be asking, what can the country do for us? Don't ask, how much stimulus money can the government send us? Ask what you can do for this country now, before it's too late. Before they seize the last grasp of our freedoms, of our, even if they're illusions, they're still an illusion of freedom, that without that illusion, they can't hold us together. They have to keep that illusion going, right? Wizard of Oz, folks, right? That scary Oz. Everybody feared that, the great Oz, right? Got to keep that going, or the Oz isn't going to work. It's just that little man behind the curtain, right? So I just needed to go on this little monologue tonight, because I really wanted everybody to stop kidding yourself. If you are, not saying everybody is. Well, look at what happened to General Flynn. If this is happening to General Flynn, you can imagine what's happening in the rest of the court systems in this country. You are fooling yourself if you think that even if we have these protections, if you can't afford to defend yourself in your life, you don't have them. It's all about money in this country, you see. It's all about money, right? Unless you're well connected and you have deep pockets, you will have your civil liberties trampled, and you will have your constitutional rights completely stripped from you, or protections stripped from you. Do we have them? Do we not have them? This happens all the time. I've been in litigation for over 8 years. They withheld exculpatory information. What they did to General Flynn, they've been doing to me. What they've done to President Trump, they've been doing to me. They've been doing to other people. They've been doing to General Flynn. They've been doing this. Now they're doing this to Austin. Now they're doing this. There's no stopping the corruption of the government. Is it not our duty? A country, right? We the people, of the people, by the people. Folks, I know how sick and tired people are of politics. I know how many people have withdrawn completely because they're so sick of it, because they know it's so corrupt. No, folks, you don't know how corrupt it is. And if you did, you'd be watching every single day to find out what they're doing to you and what they're taking from you. You better be watching every day, because every day we're losing more and more and more of our freedoms. Can't go out, can't walk into a store now without this mask, can't go to the park. We're stuck in our homes. Can you imagine? I mean, I'm grateful I've got a little bit of a yard and I can at least walk in my own yard, right? What about people in apartment buildings, right? You just go to walk and get your food at the supermarket, and where are you going to walk to? Where's everybody in New York City going to walk around, right? It's happening, folks. This is the tiptoe to totalitarianism, and this is the time. If there was ever a time that every American needs to stand up, it is now. It is right now. I'm not kidding you. I'm not saying I have the answer. I'm not saying I know what we have to do. Like I said, I know I'm doing my part. But we all have to do something. Something. We cannot vote these people back into office. We cannot. We have lost this country. Now, I've said enough. The fact that the government conspired to destroy General Flynn. They do this on a state level. They do this to people all the time. How many people go to prison for crimes they never committed? How many? But maybe they were a threat to the establishment because they spoke the truth, right? How many reporters have been threatened or killed? Look at Julian Assange. Look at Seth Rich. Look at Breitbart. Daniel Pearl. People were trying to tell the truth. When is it going to hit us, folks? When is it going to hit us that we've lost this country? And we must stand up for it and get it back. And every one of us, it's every one of our responsibility to do it. So we need to find a way. We need to organize. We need to get people to decide what path they should take. What do you think they're going to do? First, you can start out by not electing the same people in office. These career bureaucrats, these career politicians. I'm talking about our Congress. They don't represent you and me. Folks, I have kids and I want them to have a better future. I want them to have freedom. But right now, I'm telling you, if this doesn't stop, if we don't Fix this now. There's going to be no freedom. There's going to be no future for these kids. So you just ask yourself, and I'm not kidding you, I'm speaking to you from complete experience of what's going on. I'm right there, like General Flynn, with General Flynn, still in court, and they're delaying it. They're delaying it because it's about government corruption. It's about government who abuse their power under color of law to silence people who are telling the truth, silence people who are in any way considered by them a threat to their agenda. You need to know that there is this agenda that exists, and you need to know that these people are all in positions of power, folks. This is it. Humanity's not going to get another chance at this. I'm very serious about it, folks, and I really want you all to really think. I'm almost at my 500th report, folks. I've put so much into this, and still there's so much apathy that it's so disheartening for me. It makes me almost want to wrap this up and call it quits. So I'm going to be thinking about this over the next few weeks to see whether I'm wasting my time. I think there's a lot of people who are followers of GoldFish Report who get it. Most my viewers get it. And you know what? I'm not talking to you. You get it. It's the ones who stumble upon this video, by accident, or who are searching for the truth and come upon this video and find it. Because the viewers of the GoldFish Report get it. There's no question about that. There's going to be some people coming out trying to bring about some ideas of how we can solve these problems. But it's we the people, folks. Let's not forget it. By the people, of the people, for the people. It's our obligation and responsibility, according to our Constitution, that we remove the government. If it comes to the end, if it comes to the fact that the government's not doing what the oaths that they took, if they're not upholding the oaths of office that they took, if they're not protecting and looking out for for Americans, then it's our duty and responsibility. What is that quote? Who has that quote? Yeah. Okay, so it's out of control, people. It's out of control. We all have to do something. We have to make sure we, first of all, do not consent. And we have a God-given right to be here and to live our life. So the president is doing everything he can to fight against these evildoers, okay? These people who wish to cause harm and control humans. But Trump's plan is reopening America right now, and that's what the president is trying to do. Go from the most successful economy we've ever had to having to close, almost to shut it down on a dime, right? Yeah, there's a lot of other things going on. There's other agendas going on. There certainly are. And there may be many silver linings that come out of this before this is all done. That's all I'm going to say. Exactly. Do not consent. Because let me tell you something, folks. If you're not willing to fight for this freedom, then none of us, if you're not willing to fight for it, you're not entitled to it. Freedom's not free. People shed blood for this, and people have to be willing to. So let's just go ahead and move on to reporting on the president right now. Okay, so the president, added new staff to the White House. So we're going to screen share the blog, and I'm going to explain last week, April 20, earlier in the week, First Lady Melania Trump is announcing the addition of Marcia Lee Kelly and Emma Doyle to the East Wing staff. Marcia Lee Kelly will be joining the East Wing as senior advisor to the First Lady. Kelly returns to the White House as a special government employee. Previously, Kelly served as the director of the White House Management and Administration and the director of Office of Administration. Emma Doyle will be joining the First Lady's office as deputy chief and staff for policy. Doyle previously served in the West Wing as principal deputy chief of staff. Now, the president has also added new staff, but we will get to that. We will get to that shortly. This is also Monday's political theater report that I did with Jim Fetzer. Trial offer of socialism is expiring. The president is working hard to reopen this country. You might want to go check out last week's actually it was this week's report earlier this week. Okay, President Trump has intends to nominate and appoint individuals to key administration posts. There's a whole list of people here. You can go to the goldfishreport.blogspot.com. There's a long list here. I'm not going to read them all, folks. You can come here and take a look, okay? It is published under the date of, let's see, what is the date? April 20th. So if you want to look at this, come and take a look. But we do have quite a few, but I'm going to keep moving because I did spend a long time on this monologue, which I don't usually do a monologue, but I felt today I had to after seeing what happened to what happened to, well, not just President Trump, but this whole Russian hoax, this Russian collusion, this fake FISA. Wait until all of this comes out. Durham's ready to announce these indictments. We'll see, right? We'll see. But of course, what they did to General Flynn. I mean, if they can do this to the president and get away with it, and they can do this to General Flynn and get away with it, we don't stand a chance in hell, folks. This means we have absolutely no constitutional protections. You need to have a lot of money to walk into a courtroom and get those rights. They're not free. Your constitutional protections are not free. They're going to cost you everything you have and more in order to try to claim them. Now, where does it say in the Constitution that's required? Doesn't, as far as I know. Okay, so here, Trump rewrites the book on emergencies. Washington's response to the COVID-19 pandemic is upending one of the most durable patterns of American politics. Throughout history, national emergencies have led to a more powerful and centralized federal government and to the transfer of federal power from Congress to the executive branch. This time, the federal response rests largely on state and local government and private enterprise, with a wave of deregulation clearing the way, according to Christopher Demuth from the Wall Street Journal. Worried about its global image, China is now trying to cover up its cover-ups. Amid growing worldwide pressure, China began revising its numbers, releasing a report last week that raised the death toll in Wuhan, the region in which the virus originated, by more than 50%, according to the Washington Examiner. We'll talk more about that as we go along. Vice President Mike Pence on Saturday told 2020 Air Force Academy graduates that they will inspire Americans with the confidence that the country can overcome the invisible enemy in the form of the coronavirus crisis sweeping the nation. The vice president spoke at a relatively scaled down ceremony at Falcon Stadium in Colorado, where cadets sat 8 feet apart from each other. That's nice, you know? We can go to the supermarket and wear a mask, but we can't go to the beach. I mean, you know, tell me how much sense this makes, folks. Is this not draconian, fascist dogma? Then, you know, I don't know what is, right? So President Trump's new guidelines for opening up America again honor the best traditions of American federalism. The 50 states have been affected by the coronavirus in different ways, and governors and local officials can best make the decisions on when to reopen schools and businesses in their states. And that's exactly where the president has left it. I'm not going to go into the transcripts at the news conferences because the information is summed up in these stories that I'm presenting. And of course, there's a memorandum here providing continued federal support for governor's use of the National Guard in response to the COVID-19 and to facilitate economic recovery. So, the president has given the states as much support as they possibly can from the federal government, pretty much everything, including financial support, including use of the military, including supplies from the National Emergency stockpile, things like that. The ships, both one on each coast, they've done an awful lot. So I think the president, under these incredibly difficult circumstances, is doing an amazing job. Again, I'm not saying that he's a perfect person, but I think under the circumstances, he's doing a very, very good job. Let's keep going. Go to this page here. Okay, so here we have President Trump versus the political class. As American wages war on the deadly coronavirus, President Trump announced last night that he will temporarily suspend immigration into the United States. So this was another very big issue. This was obviously suspending legal immigration. Obviously, illegal immigration is always illegal. So I couldn't believe people were like actually asking questions about that. It's like, no, this is just legal immigration. We know illegal is always illegal. So he's not commenting on that. But people were still asking questions about it. Nearly 80% of Americans support this common sense measure to protect our country, according to a recent USA Today poll. At a time when most Americans are discouraged from all non-essential travel within our borders, it is responsible and fair to limit travel across these borders as well. The political class doesn't do common sense. However, Democrat leaders such as Senators Elizabeth Warren and Tim Kaine joined CNN pundits in attacking the decision. They couldn't make any case against it. Of course, it's tough to argue that borders should be open while American citizens are locked down. No, it doesn't make sense. So they just made up insults instead. Senator Warren accused the president of racism and xenophobia, exactly what Democrat leaders did when President Trump restricted travel from China in January. Democrats were wrong at the start of the crisis, and they're wrong now. Unlike the left, President Trump will take every action necessary to protect the American people. Both lives and livelihoods are at stake. At a time when many people are out of work because of coronavirus, it's more important than ever to protect jobs for our citizens. Mass immigration risks hurting the wages of blue-collar workers, multiple studies show. As these Americans look to bounce back from the coronavirus pandemic, our leaders must help them in every way possible. President Trump is doing it. There's still time for Democrat leaders to join him. And this is what the president does. He's trying to get the left to join him, to find their voice of reason somewhere and not put politics in front ahead of this pandemic and ahead of what's best for the American people. But you know that they've been doing that by holding up the additional stimulus aid. Okay, I needed a sip of water. Surgeon General is a funny guy. I'm going to keep going. To all Americans, help slow the spread of coronavirus, Surgeon General Jerome Adams has a message. Thank you for following the president's coronavirus guidelines. Social distancing. We must stay vigilant to defeat this. We continue. You can come here and take a look at all of this. And there's other links here for you to look at if you'd like to. Okay. Photo of the day was the president, was of course, the president at the news conference. This man has the weight of the world on his shoulders, indeed, doesn't he? Okay, so let me see. This is it. President Trump announces appointments for the executive office of the president. So today, this was on April 21st, President Donald J. Trump announced the following appointments for the executive office of the president. Dan Scavino, woo, Dan, he's our buddy, right? Dan Scavino will serve as assistant to the president and deputy chief of staff for communications. So we're happy for Dan. Congratulations, Dan. We're very happy for you. If any, we know you've been working hard, staying steadfast right by the president's side all along, and we're glad to see you get this promotion. John C. Flemings, MD, will serve as assistant to the president for planning and implementation. Kaylee McAney will serve as assistant to the president and press secretary. So we have a new press secretary. Alyssa Farrow will serve as assistant to the president and director of strategic communications. Nicholas Luna will serve as assistant to the president and director of Oval Office operations. Well, congratulations to all these people, and I hope that it's all very successful for everybody. So that was interesting. I don't think everybody saw that, but it all happened at once, so that was nice. So here we have how the media completely blew the Trump ventilator story, right? After nearly 4 years of unrelieved Trump hysteria in the media, it's hard to rank the worst journalistic outrages. Rich Lowry writes for the National Review, but how the press misreported the story of America's ventilator stockpile belongs high on the list. Last year, America produced a total of 30,000 ventilators. This year, the country will produce somewhere around 200,000. And the machines are already coming in. By any measure, that's a success, certainly compared with where we thought we'd be less than 1 month ago. If the media weren't so devoted to gotcha idiocy, more people might know about it. So let's move along. The U.S. Small Business Administration has processed more than 14 years worth of loans in less than 14 days. A month ago, it would have been unfathomable to imagine that a relatively small federal agency like the SBA, Small Business Administration, could erect a loan program of that scale in just 1 week. Small Business Administrator Jovita Carranza writes in USA Today. All right, well, let's just wait and see who gets the assistance. The president said, Harvard University, you need to pay back that money. You don't need it. The president said Harvard University has probably one of the largest endowments on the planet, and they don't need the money. So, so that's definitely an interesting, I just love how the president will get up there and he'll be completely forthright and honest, as if he is like at the Trump rallies, right? Sometimes, it might not always be in his best interest to be that way, but like this whole oh my God, the news was reporting the president thing that he said, tell people they should inject bleach in their skin. And that is absolutely not what the president said. I mean, but the fake news has to go run with it. They have to do whatever they can to disparage the president any way they can. They know it's not what he was talking about. He was referring to light, how ultraviolet light kills this, and how he knows of some kind of technology where you can literally inject this, and he referred to it as an antiseptic or disinfectant or something like that. It had that effect, it had that property that within 10 seconds the UV light actually kills the virus. So he was saying how, now notice how the president's trying to talk about alternative therapies, right? Alternative, and you see the CDC, you see the people from the Institute of Health. Now, they are not happy with the president getting up there talking about hydroxychloroquine, right? Because those are real remedies that work. They're going to cure people, not kill people. So let me tell you, folks, if you don't think we have lost our country yet, how much more evidence needs to stack up in front of our faces when we see that the CDC and National Institute of Health are not trying. I mean, they're being really embarrassed into, almost forced into, accepting the hydroxychloroquine and the azithromycin, because now they were put on the spot. So if the president didn't put them on the spot for that, we wouldn't have that, folks. We wouldn't have it. So the president has to keep putting them on the spot to get them. And they don't like it. The CDC doesn't like this. The globalists don't like it, folks. They don't like it, right? And so what are they talking about? They're talking about, oh, the president, we should stop reporting. We should stop covering these press conferences, right? Because the president's trying to suggest, actual treatments that that come to his attention by experts and other professionals that actually treat and cure the virus. So now they want to shut the president down. They want to shut down his press conferences. They don't want to be reporting on the press conferences. They don't want to cover it. Now, folks, okay? I mean, it's right in front of our face. You just need to think critically. We just need to think critically. We got to see it for what it is right before our eyes, okay? Let me just say hi to everybody. Hello, everyone. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for being in the live chat as well. I'm going to continue. What a world we are living in, folks. We better pray. Pray for our president, too. Okay, here we have facing a once-in-a-century pandemic, a crisis that some have likened to a world war. The U.S. is fortunate to have President Trump in charge. I have witnessed him make the tough decisions necessary at every turn to keep America safe. 7 of these decisions stand out, National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien writes in the Wall Street Journal. Now more than ever before, we must take action to address the mental health consequences this pandemic has brought. Under the president's direction, we are harnessing a whole of government approach to remove the barriers to addressing mental health and preventing suicides for Americans. Second Lady Karen Pence and Dr. Barbara Van Dalen and Dr. Elizabeth Van Winkle write for Fox News. Absolutely, folks. There is definitely this component to the restrictions that have been imposed on us that people are definitely, feeling the pain. It's very unusual for us to have to be quarantined like this for this long period of time. A lot of times people are running out of money. And people are living month to month as it is. Where's the stimulus checks? Secretary Mnuchin? Where are they? I think it's having an effect on all of us. I think we're all, feeling this sense of, uncertainty of what's going to happen next, right? Can't go to the park, can't walk into a store without a mask on in, the northeastern states. But I'll tell you, and I hope it doesn't come to this, folks, but when they start asking for your gold fillings and ask you to board a boxcar, will you get it then? Will you get it? Really hope it doesn't come to that. But if they had their way, if these globalists had their way, that's exactly where this would go. This is the press briefing, which I'm not going to screen share as I scroll because it's always very, very long. I'm not going to screen share the transcripts, but you can come to the goldfishreport.blogspot.com and you can read them yourself if you'd like to. They're very long, and I post them exactly how I received them from the White House. If they are cut off at the end, some of them, because they're very, very long. If you want the rest of that transcript, please email me and request the date of the it's going to be at the top of the transcript, the date of the press conference, and then I'll email it to you if you need the rest of it. It's just that it's extremely long and time consuming to get the rest of it and post it. It's so long to post. And I'm sure that there's not a whole lot of people who are actually reading the whole thing. So if you really want the rest of it, just email me and with the day of the press conference, and I'll do my best to provide that to you. Okay, let's move along. Okay. So here we have President Trump is honoring his commitment to protect American workers by temporarily pausing immigration, which we talked about, and I said that I would be reporting more on. By pausing immigration will help put unemployed Americans first in line for jobs as America reopens. So important. It would be wrong and unjust for Americans laid off by the virus to be replaced with new immigrant labor flown in from abroad. Can you imagine? The president's doing the right thing. It's definitely the right choice. So President Trump is suspending new immigrant visas to put American communities and workers first as we move toward safely reopening the economy. These are people who who are requesting permanent residency in the United States. Those are the people that this is affecting. President Trump has a duty to ensure we help Americans regain their jobs and livelihood. And of course, the president was doing this before the virus happened. The president was making deals with other countries, bringing jobs back, got us out of NAFTA, and started the USMCA, did trade deals with other countries to bring jobs back to the United States. So the president has been doing this from the first day in office, folks, not just from coronavirus. This is a temporary pause demanded by the crisis we are facing as a nation. The pause will be in effect for 60 days. This is the immigration pause. Will be in effect for 60 days, and the administration will continue to monitor the labor market to amend or extend the proclamation if needed. There will be exemptions for medical and other essential workers to combat the outbreak, spouses and minor children of American citizens, and certain other aliens. Don't you just love that word? It always makes you wonder, what are they talking about? President Trump is also asking his administration to review guest worker programs to assess whether additional measures should be taken to protect American workers. Helping Americans recover, President Trump's efforts will ensure we continue to put American workers first as we begin to reopen our economy. American workers have been hurt through no fault of their own due to the coronavirus. It would be unfair to allow Americans out of work due to the coronavirus to be replaced by new immigrant labor brought into the United States. Mass immigration of low-skilled labor in the United States disproportionately harms historically disadvantaged Americans. African Americans and other minorities, Americans without a college degree, and others are especially harmed by an influx of foreign labor. Backed by the American people strongly support common sense efforts to restrict immigration as we confront the coronavirus. Recent polling shows Americans strongly stand behind restricting immigration into the country during this crisis. Nearly 80% of those polled say they favor a temporary pause on immigration into the United States, according to a recent USA Today poll. As we face the challenges posed by coronavirus, a recent Pew Research Center poll found that 81% of Americans see mass immigration as a threat. A recent Scott Rasmussen survey found that 70% of those polled agree that the government should place a temporary ban on foreign entry into the United States. Even Democrats and liberal pundits used to warn against mass migration and advocate for protections for American workers. Senator Bernie Sanders in 2015, you think we should open the borders and bring in a lot of low-wage workers, or do you think maybe we should try to get jobs for those American kids? Paul Krugman has said immigration reduces the wages of domestic workers who compete with immigrants. That's just supply and demand. And then Senator Barack Obama warned that mass migration threatens to depress further the wages of blue-collar Americans and put strains on the already overburdened safety net. Well, there you have it, folks. There you have it. They say one thing when it's convenient for them to get elected, right? And then and then they change their mind later on when it's not politically convenient for them. And we put up with it. We keep electing them. Not like we have a lot of choice, but we do. It's time for us to say, this is broken. It is so broken that we need to clean it out. We need to drain the swamp, as the president's trying to do. We really do. We really need that. Here we have the proclamation suspending entry of immigrants who present risks to the U.S. labor market during the economic recovery following the COVID-19 outbreak. Here is the proclamation. You can go to the blog and read it if you like, the goldfishreport.blogspot.com. And this, of course, is the text of the letter from the President to the Speaker of the House of Representatives and the President of the Senate regarding such, which is also published in the Federal Register as it is required. The so the President Trump and Vice President Pence at a tree planting ceremony in recognition of Earth Day and Arbor Day, which was uh, April 22nd. That was on Wednesday. So there was a ceremony, and of course, the First Lady, and the President also planted a tree there. So that was very nice to see that. You can come and take a look at this transcript on the blog if you like. So, more on Trump's suspension of immigration over coronavirus will protect our health, jobs, and wages. And it's the absolute right thing to do. And it is temporary, according to the president. So, it will resume as soon as we can ensure that all Americans who want jobs have jobs, and that there's jobs for them. That's what's important. That's why the president's doing this. So, I don't want to go over that too much more because we just went over that. We know that U.S. Senate on Tuesday unanimously approved the $484 billion in addition coronavirus relief. You know, the president signed that today, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. The president has held 93 press conferences since taking office, more than the 70 held by President Barack Obama over the same amount of time. Oh, I got to screenshot this. This is a very good fact to have. And 72 by George W. Bush, according to research compiled by historian Martha Kumar. Interesting, according to the Washington Examiner. Vice President Mike Pence thanked workers at the manufacturing plant in Wisconsin on Tuesday for their efforts in making sure no person who needs a ventilator will be denied one during the coronavirus crisis. So yeah, we have all these extra supplies now, and we've been helping other countries who need these ventilators. We've been assisting them now. And of course, here's the presidential message on the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, talking about preserving our heritage and stewardship with regard to a global leader in environmental stewardship. Okay, let's see. Stop doing those oil pipelines. We don't even need them because we have technology that, you know, the oil is antiquated. We don't need to keep robbing the earth of its vital, you know, life force lubricant. You know, let's just get our radiant energy going and stop this nonsense of not, you know, having access to advanced technology. It's time. Okay. Let's keep moving along. This is another presser. Let me just see if I can get through this. Another transcript. Very long. Takes me a minute to actually scroll through all of this. They're very long, these pressers, I'll tell you. Okay, so let's move along to the next day. Who we're fighting for, President says. Okay, interesting. America's 30 million small businesses employ nearly half of our nation's private sector workforce. As Americans stay home to slow the spread of coronavirus, many of these small companies have been forced to temporarily shut down or cut back on work. And folks, we know this, right? Because we drive around our neighborhoods and communities and we see these small mom and pop shops closed, totally closed. They can't pay that rent. If their doors are closed, they can't. I'm so upset my favorite bagel shop is closed down. I'm so upset about that. Oh my God. They had really, 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 really good bagels. I know where I'm going to get my bagels now. Okay. So, but you see that everywhere. I see actually the first floor retail places that are boarded up with wood everywhere. Really doesn't look good. I'll tell you, it's not looking good at all. And the president is absolutely right. And we've got to get this reopened. And of course, my co-host of Political Theater, Jim Fetzer, is saying the same thing. We've got to get the country back open safely. Because, you know, the president is acting like this. He's not saying that this is a bioweapon, but he's certainly acting like it is and, you know, imploring the military to fight this. So, you know, this is a very serious, you know, very potent virus. It's not just any virus. I'm sure you don't want to get it. But we really need to listen to what the president's telling us in terms of protecting ourselves. And also someone told me that, what is it? This is not verified, folks. You should research this on your own. Oh, gee, I don't know where it is. What is it called? It's in gin. It's in tonic water. Uh, where's my live chat, folks? What is it called? It's in tonic water. I can't think of the name of it. This is what you have. Gin and tonic. Gin and tonic. What's in the tonic water that is supposedly a treatment for this virus, coronavirus, or many viruses, actually? A lot of people use silver solution too, but I can't think of the name of it, but I'll come back to that. Whoops. Quinine. Thank you, Tammy. 14441. Yes, quinine, everybody. Linda, Karen, Kat, Nan, thank you. They're all saying quinine. Yes, it's quinine. Nicholas, thank you. Thank you. I knew you guys would know because you guys are awesome. Thank you. Quinine. Exactly. Liz, same thing. They're all saying quinine. Yeah. That's what it is. So quinine, I'm hearing, also is a treatment for this. And the reason they say gin and tonic is because tonic water has quinine in it, and the gin, the alcohol, for some reason, opens up the either the blood. I don't know if it's the vessels, the blood-brain barrier. I don't know what it does, but it allows you to absorb that quinine in your system. So yes, thank you, everybody. I just love these viewers, how everybody says it at the same time. Yeah, exactly. You guys are awesome. Okay, so let me go back and find. Thank you, everybody. Yeah. Propylene glycol as a mist is a mild disinfectant. You should research this stuff on your own, though. I mean, I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just saying that I have seen this reported in other places, and you should look into that yourself. We had a really wonderful interview yesterday with a holistic, I would say, educator, and she talked about some other products that were also good remedies for these things. So if I were you guys, I would definitely look at that, watch that report we did yesterday with Sandy Whitewinds from White Winds, Rock Shop, and Trading Post. Okay, great. So I'm sorry, let's move along. I just wanted to talk about that quinine really quick because it's been, I've seen it in reports. Okay, so within the next 24 hours, and this, of course, was yesterday, within the next 24 hours, President Trump will be sending more help their way. After unnecessary delay from Speaker Nancy Pelosi and House Democrats, Congress is finally replenishing President Trump's Paycheck Protection Program. Operated by the Small Business Administration, the PPP ensures that employers can continue to pay workers and cover costs during the global coronavirus outbreak. The program proved essential for small businesses, so popular, in fact, that it ran through its funds in just 14 days. I bet. After pressure from President Trump, Congress reached a deal with the administration to provide an additional $310 billion for the program, along with $75 billion for hospitals and $25 billion for testing. More relief for America's small businesses can't wait a moment longer, as story after story shows these forgivable loans are the difference between survival and layoffs in communities across the country. I have customers call me in tears, one Utah community banker says. A fifth-generation family business in Pennsylvania can now survive and protect the jobs of its 35 workers. One Florida community bank went above and beyond to rescue a small company in need. A Minnesota construction owner says this aid helps with the cash flow. A Michigan bagel shop that survived the Great Depression and World War II was in trouble, but now can afford to keep its employees on payroll. Well, I'm going to call them and see if they'll send me some bagels. Okay, so that's just a snapshot of why this support matters, and we all, of course, know that. Small business powers the American economy. The Paycheck Protection Program should never have run out of money. President Trump asked Congress to refill it 16 days ago before funds dried up. There was no excuse for Democrats to stall for more partisan pork while American families wondered where their next paycheck would come. To the workers and small businesses who need this relief, President Trump is fighting for you. Tomorrow, his signature will right the wrongs of politicians who once again put their needs before your own. Exactly. Thanks to you, America will be ready to safely reopen soon. Let's take a quick look at this video from the White House. Let's see. Is this it here? Yeah. Hold on a second. Oh, that's on mute. Okay. About Earth Day.
The First Lady and I are very grateful to be here on the South Lawn of the White House as we celebrate the 50th annual Earth Day, National Park Week, and the upcoming Arbor Day. As a sign of our dedication, in a few moments, the First Lady and I will plant a maple tree right here on the South Lawn of the White House. On this special occasion, we are renewing our strong national commitment on conserving the wonders of God's creation. One of the most important ways we uphold this tradition is by protecting our priceless national parks and our public lands. On this Earth Day, we celebrate that America leads the world in environmental stewardship and that we continue to have among the cleanest air and the cleanest water anywhere on the planet Earth.
Okay, well, that's from the president. That's the president and first lady celebrating, Earth Day here. So we also have president in a news conference, which I'm not going to screen share at the moment, but let's keep moving along. Okay, so here in honor of Earth Day and tomorrow's Arbor Day, President Trump helped plant a new maple tree in the front of the White House grounds yesterday, which we just showed in the video. So earlier this year in Switzerland, President Trump committed to a new campaign, the 1 Trillion Tree Initiative, to promote conservation efforts globally. As our nation grows stronger and greater in the months and years to come, the president said yesterday, this tree will grow also, and it will stand tall and beautiful. And of course, we have the president's message earlier in our report, which we didn't read, but it's on the blog at the blogspot. At the goldfishreport.blogspot.com if you'd like to read that. And there's also photos of the First Lady. There's all kinds of links on here if you want to look into that a little bit more. So Congress said, let's get this deal done. This was for the 22nd. This was on Wednesday. The Senate passed funding yesterday to replenish the Paycheck Protection Program, which we know. The bill also, so what it includes is it's a $428 billion funding package. We reached a deal that includes $382 billion in crucial small business support to keep workers on the payroll. The bill also includes $75 billion in hospital aid and $25 billion for testing efforts. Wow, that's a lot of money. And think that if you're a single parent, you get $1,400. Well, maybe 19, because if you have one dependent child, but it's going to be tough. I mean, that's like one payment, right? I mean, I think the president is looking into providing additional payments, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, here it is. Harvard will not keep the money for small businesses. So let's take a look at what the president has to say here.
Harvard's going to pay back the money, and they shouldn't be taking it. So Harvard's going to. You have a number of, I'm not going to mention any other names, but when I saw Harvard, they have one of the largest endowments anywhere in the country, maybe in the world, I guess, and they're going to pay back that money. Harvard's going to pay back the money, and they shouldn't be taking it. So Harvard's going
as I reported earlier, the president was not happy about that, and he's going to try to make sure that anybody else who has been taking the money and doesn't qualify or meet the standards is going to repay the money too. So that's good. That's good. And President Trump is always been a very successful businessman, and it just makes financial sense. And that's the kind, that's really what we ended up needing. We needed a CEO to handle the government like a business, because it's basically what it is. But he needed to make those kinds of decisions to tighten up as much as he could. He's not a magician. He doesn't have a magic wand, and he's not king, because it's there's a lot of people involved in making all of these things happen, and he's not the only person. So he's trying his hardest to get the best things done for the country that he possibly can. And I truly believe that. And I think many people do as well. So the legislation reserves $30 billion in loans for small financial institutions to serve minority and distressed communities as well. The support builds on the Trump administration's work to protect African American, Hispanic American, and minority workers that have been hit hard by the coronavirus. Part of that work is ensuring sufficient testing options for these populations. Okay, before I get into the testing, he is the president in Wisconsin. America's winning the war on coronavirus, and we are. But I did hear reports today about some defective testing. Yeah, here's the photo of the day, the president and the first lady planting the tree, or at least, ceremoniously doing it, right? Okay. I did see reports, and they're not confirmed, about the swabs used. Some facilities who made these swabs may have, in fact, been contaminated with the virus themselves, these swabs, the testing swabs. So, in essence, contaminating people who didn't have it. So, there's guidelines as to who should get tested, and I think you should really be very careful about, where you're being tested. I think that it probably doesn't really even matter so much. People should just, if you have the flu, just take it. Just take it. It's not gonna harm you if you take it, is it? I don't think so. So I'd be really careful about doing any kind of vaccination. I wouldn't do the vaccinations personally. I'm not telling you what to do, but I certainly wouldn't do it. Nor would I take this swab. It's not gonna be a pretty scene if they're gonna try to get me to use that swab. I can tell you that much, because isn't it my body, my choice, our body, our choice, right? Folks, this is what I'm talking about in the beginning of the monologue today of this report. Have we completely lost our freedoms? Did we ever really have them? Were they an illusion? And like I said, when they start asking for your gold fillings and ask you to board a boxcar, you'll have the answer. But will it take that? Will it take that? Let's hope not. We all really need to be. I would rather err on the side of caution, folks, and presume that's where this is going, than walk into that boxcar. Wouldn't you? So let's keep going. CDC director takes WAPO to task over inappropriate coronavirus headline. Oh, yeah. Liberal media bias on full display during White House's COVID-19 press briefings. Of course. Media slant is likely a major factor contributing to the decline of newspapers and broadcast news ratings, Cal Thomas writes to the Washington Times. Watching the daily White House press briefings about the virus appears to have put reporters' biases on naked display. And then there's is this media's most potent power, the power to ignore certain stories. Absolutely. That's so completely true. So true. The power to ignore stories. That is just a quote that I have to remember there, because it is very true. So President Trump signed a proclamation yesterday temporarily suspending immigration to the United States, which we talked about. He said Harvard University said it will not take this $8.6 million in aid that was granted as part of the U.S. government's efforts to cushion the economic impact of the coronavirus lockdown, reversing itself and bending to U.S. President Donald Trump, who said Tuesday that the university should not take the money, according to Breitbart. 34 nurses from Colorado landed at Newark Airport on Tuesday afternoon, and after a short prayer service, headed off to 3 New Jersey hospitals hit hard by the coronavirus to lend a hand. The nurses from Centura Health System, part of Catholic Health Initiatives, agreed to travel to New Jersey after its president, Peter Banko, received an appeal from his counterparts in the state. Matt Fagan reports for NorthJersey.com. Oh boy. North Jersey's got the problem, I guess. So here we have a presidential message on Ramadan, and it's asking people during this holy month an opportunity to renew strength in their faith through rigorous fasting, devout prayer, and reflective meditation. Reading the Quran, whatever they do, charitable deeds, and that's his statement on Ramadan. Okay, so if you observe that, president's being respectful to you in your observance of that. Yeah. Okay. Now I think we're on our last day here. I know this has been a little bit of a longer report. You know, folks, as always, when I only do it on Friday nights, you know, there's a lot to talk about. I could not get to it earlier in the week. I had other things to do. I've actually been in this quarantine. I have been busier than I am outside of the quarantine. I've been so busy. Oh my God. Just, I don't even have time. I'm not even sleeping hardly. It's crazy. Okay. Today, there's remarks here by the president at the signing ceremony for HR 266, Paycheck Protection Program and the Healthcare and Enhancement Act. So $320 billion to refill the Paycheck Protection Program. Great for small businesses, great for workers. $30 billion to the Paycheck Protection Funds that will be reserved for small financial institutions, which we already reported on. 30 billion of the Paycheck Protection Funds. What else is here? $10 billion for Economic Injury Disaster Grant Program, $50 billion for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, which will provide loans to small businesses and farms. $75 billion to reimburse hospitals and healthcare providers. $825 million, that's a small one, million. That's the first time I've seen the word million instead of billion, the president said. $825 million for community health centers and rural clinics, which serve many of our most vulnerable low-income communities, and $25 billion for expanding testing capabilities. Just be careful about those testing kits, I'll tell you. You should look into the media. I will try to dig a little bit more and find out what labs were or what the who the manufacturers were. I'm pretty sure that it's reported, and I probably posted it on our Twitter page, but you can scroll through to try to find it there. But I will try to do a follow-up on that, because that would be pretty important for everybody to know. Obviously, you don't want to inadvertently get the coronavirus because you simply went to be tested for it. Here, the president has made a statement by the president on Armenian Remembrance Day. You can come and take a look at this. He's paying homage to the humanitarian support to Armenian refugees, grateful for the thousands of Americans who contributed or volunteered to help the Armenians expelled from their homes. He's paying respect to those who suffered and lost their lives, while also renewing our commitment to fostering a more humane and peaceful world. Here we have a text of a letter to the from the president to the Speaker of the House. This is about the bill that he signed today, which is required by law that he writes this letter. It's also published in the Federal Register, as you know. The president also signed, approved Tennessee disaster declaration, and also approved one for Kentucky disaster declaration as well. Here's the president. President announces intent to nominate and appoint individuals to key administration posts. There's more people here. This is United States of America to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development with the rank of ambassador. We have Undersecretary of the Air Force and Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security for Legislative Affairs, and quite a few others. So come and take a look at the blog and you'll see the whole list there. The president, here's the message from the president on Arbor Day. You can come and take a look at that. Here you have this is a disaster declaration the president approved for Washington, state of Washington, and here's one for Mississippi. And of course, you know, you also have here the remarks from the press conference from yesterday. So the transcripts are going to be published the day after. So today's transcript will probably be available and made and published tomorrow. So if you want the remainder of, if it's not a full transcript, some of them are. Today's was very short, so it will, the whole transcript will be published. I would say it's about 60-40. 60% are not full, and 40% are full, they're complete. The complete transcript is published on the blog. There's probably about 60% that aren't. So just make sure you have the right date. It will state it. You can see it right here, April 23rd, this says. So if you're looking at the majority of the transcript and you would like to have the rest of it, just make sure you give me the date of the press briefing and the date it's published, which is usually the day after, but just to be sure. So April 23rd would be the date of this press conference. And if you wanted the remainder of this, if it's not completed at the end, if it doesn't say end at the end, then I can email that to you. If you email me at the GoldFish Report at gmail.com and request that. So folks, that's it for today. Let me go and check on my live chat, folks. Hi, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. And I'm sorry that that I haven't been checking into the chat, but it's been a little bit busy. I have taken quite a while now to do this report. And I'm not doing a follow-up. I'm not following up any information on Austin right now. So when I do have that, when I have all of it, I will let everybody know. I have heard that there were items and possessions of Austin's that were taken during that FBI raid, like the stone raid. I mean, and that were not listed on the items that were taken. And one of them includes some prescription medication that he takes and some other things. So yeah, we need to get a film crew out there. Well, we're hoping that can actually happen. Yes, exactly. The Armenians that were murdered by the Ottoman Turks in 1915, first genocide of the 20th century, and is still today denied by the Turks. So exactly, and that was stated in that presidential statement too, by the way. So Freedom Glory, thanks for mentioning that. So everybody, this is about it. I've kind of gone on a little longer than I wanted to, but I just want everyone to really understand that this is not a game. This is very serious. This is not time to sit back and get lost in Netflix. This is about what can you do for your country now. I don't have the answer for you. I'm doing my part, but it would be good to kind of talk to people and figure out what you think you can do. And the whole thing is that we have to hold our government accountable. We have a corrupt FBI and DOJ, not everybody, but at the upper levels of the FBI and DOJ, they were, as the president said, corrupt, committing malfeasance, misconduct, conspired to destroy General Flynn, also conspired to destroy him, to sabotage a presidency. And folks are doing it to us too. Are you going to be next? So that's what I have for you tonight. So you all have a really great weekend. I'm not quite sure if I'll be doing a live stream tomorrow because we will be, I'll let you know. But we do have a radio program on Ascension Radio on Saturday nights. Sometimes I don't have a special interview lined up right now, but if something does come up, you can catch us tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on Ascension Radio, or we may live stream. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do just yet. So everybody, I'm trying. I know, Slim Frank, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all of our viewers and all of the folks in the live chat. Thank you very much for your well wishes and wishes of peace, because I could use some peace for sure. We have to keep the faith, folks. And remember the serenity prayer too. If there's things that you can change them. And if it means that we need to change our government, then we need to do that. We need to do that. And we need to support our president in helping him to do that too. So we may not have the answer today, but we will find out exactly what we can do as we go along. And if I do find more information about that, and people who are maybe offering help and support and ideas with that, I will definitely bring that to you. So everybody have a great night. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you so much for all of our Patreons who help with the Goldfish Report. We couldn't do it without you. I do wish that we could go back to the White House. I'm not quite sure this would be such a great time, but it's okay. It's, it's the job, right? So I'd do it if we had the funding. So absolutely. So everybody, you have a great weekend. Stay strong, help each other out. It's like, everybody is kind of getting very, I would say, it's testing our resolve. It's testing our patience, being cooped up like chickens in a hen house, really. Um, it, we need to get outside. We need the daylight. We need to be, with our planet, we need to be among the trees and the ocean and the water and the animals. We need to be outside. And the animals, I know, think they kind of like it a little bit too, because we're not around. I've heard slaughterhouses are closing down, which is great because I'm vegetarian, so I'm really happy to hear that. But you know absolutely, folks, we do not consent. We just need to. I know, Freedom Glory, I want to get back to the White House too. Exactly. So we're going to talk about this constitutional crisis that we're having in more reports. So keep an eye out for Goldfish Reports live streams. I don't always announce when I'm going to do them because there's obvious reasons why. But sometimes I will put a community message on the YouTube channel and let you know. So thanks for joining us, and we will be back on Monday with another political theater, if not before then, but at least we'll be back Monday with another political theater with the Fets. So have a great weekend, folks, and this concludes this edition of the Goldfish Report. Thanks for viewing. And to all of our folks in the live stream, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for all your wonderful comments, and I appreciate you being here. And it's really a pleasure to have you join us. Thanks.